What's in the box?
Thanksgiving. A time of thanks, a time of family, and a time of turkey. How fitting for a show that reviews cinematic turkeys. But sadly, all the bad Thanksgiving movies I could review for this episode have either been reviewed already or never been heard of, so fuck it, we're doing Bill Cosby's Leonard Part 6. Which is kind of appropriate for this holiday when you think about it. You spend Thanksgiving with your family, families have dads, and Bill Cosby is known as one of the greatest TV dads. Well, at least he was until these past 2 weeks happened. Jesus. But also, if you want to talk about the biggest turkeys in film history, the name Leonard Part 6 usually pops up quite a bit. What was supposed to be a funny take on the spy genre that Bill Cosby was once a part of with I Spy ended up becoming a megaton bomb after Cosby himself advised people in interviews to avoid the flick like the plague.
I had to do an awful lot of thinking about whether or not to come on and tell them I didn't so far think this was a good movie.
So, nobody liked it, only a few saw it, and 3 Razzies were given to it, as personally accepted by Mr. Cosby himself.
So they're going like, Bill Cosby, worst producer, worst writer, worst actor. I swept the award.
So how did this legend of comedy, at the peak of his fame, end up making such a stinker? Well, come along, because this is Jesse Shea coming at you with a flick that's no fun, and if you're not careful, you may learn something before it's done.
So let's get ready, okay? Hey, hey, hey!
So to answer our first mystery, why the hell is this movie called Leonard Part 6? When the hell did they make parts 1 through 5? And who the fuck is Leonard? Well, Leonard is retired CIA agent Leonard Parker, as played by Cosby. And he did indeed have 5 previous adventures, which no longer exist because they have, in the words of Leonard's faithful butler,
been confiscated in the interests of world security.
In other words, if you think this movie is bad, just imagine what the last 5 must have been like. But in this so-called 6th installment, Leonard has given up the spy life to run a restaurant, until Chief Joe Don Baker comes knocking on his door to tackle his toughest assignment of all: evil vegetarians! Yes, in the strangest bit of anti-vegetarian propaganda this side of Troll 2, Leonard is told to go up against a group of evil vegetarians, led by the Oracle from The Matrix, who thinks people have taken the world over from animals and trains them to kill so they can take over the world.
This was, I believe, the first recorded instance of a CIA agent being eaten alive by a rainbow trout.
Want to know more about this batshit plot? Well, too bad, because first you'll have to watch Leonard try to prevent his actress daughter from dating her 66-year-old director and try to get back in the saddle with his estranged ex-wife. Because when you think spy movie, you think dysfunctional family spats.
I'm having a lot of trouble not remembering you with her.
But when Leonard finally decides to return to the spy life, the movie switches gears from awful Cosby Show episode to complete and utter insanity. These are some actual scenes from this movie. Cosby uses his ballet skills to fight off a gang of birdmen, none of whom are lawyers or Michael Keaton. He shoots cartoon bullets at the door of the villain's compound, which look like they came straight out of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He fends off killer lobsters with melted butter.
Melted butter?
Melted butter!
Melted butter.
He escapes on a flying ostrich and turns into bad claymation. He kills off one of the vegetarians by making him eat a sparkling hot dog, which makes his head explode and reveals that he's made of sawdust. What the fuck was Bill Cosby putting in his jello to make him come up with this shit? And more importantly, how the hell was it supposed to be considered funny? Because as a comedy, Leonard Part 6 is one of the biggest failures I've ever seen in my life. But as a disaster, it's fascinating as hell. It's got a star who seems bored out of his mind through half the movie, despite the fact he produced and co-wrote this shit.
Where is she? I want my wife back.
It's got pointless narration from Leonard's butler that was clearly added in post-production to try and salvage this dung heap.
Something told me at a glance that the evening had not gone well.
It's got evil henchmen who look like Reb Brown from Space Mutiny and are defeated by raw hamburger.
Meat. 100% pure beef.
But it hasn't got any funny jokes and makes no goddamn sense. So, to put it in Thanksgiving terms, Leonard Part 6 is the cinematic equivalent of candied yams. That's right, candied yam fans, I'm putting you on blast. Come at me! What can make both a bad movie and a Thanksgiving dinner with creepy relatives tolerable? Why, booze, of course! So skip the football game and play the awfully good drinking game. Take a shot or drink every time you notice another instance of obvious product placement and suddenly become thirsty for a Coca-Cola while bathing with lava soap and playing a game on the Action Max.
It'll be around forever.
The Oracle asks for some food from her henchmen.
Mango me. Great for me.
Open wide, cause I'm gonna grape you in the mouth.
Someone uses the word quellish.
Quellish. Quellish. Quellish. Quellish! Jesus Christ! I warned you.
And take a double shot when you spot a Jane Fonda cameo.
Come on, Leonard, can't you get it up?
Leonard?
I would be horrified at Jane Fonda turning into Joe Don Baker, but I've seen him in Mitchell. And that, my friends, is true horror.
Baby oil.
And on the nudity watch, well, if you're disappointed with pointy nipples and the teasing of Bill Cosby's daughter's boobs, then how about a shirtless Bill Cosby? His chest looks like Morgan Freeman's face. On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Bull to Bruce, Leonard Part 6 puts the poop in Pudding Pop and gets a 2 out of 10. Which will come first, Leonard Part 7 or Ghost Dad 2? You're both wrong. It'll be Meteor Man 2, The Rise of Marvin. I'm Jesse Shade for JoBlo.com, thankful for all you viewers out there, and wishing all of you the happiest of Thanksgivings. Oh, and in case you were wondering about my thoughts on this Bill Cosby situation, I'm glad you asked, because personally I think that
Joe Blow, he sure likes to drink a lot. Joe Blow won't just movie like the heroine. Joe Blow, he's not just like the summer high.
Hey everyone, Jesse Shade here from Awfully Good Movies. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me take on more good bad movies, click on any of the links you see here, or subscribe to see this show alongside all the great content that we offer here at JoBlo.com. And remember, I love you. Wait, that sounded wrong. But I do love you though.